Salutations, my name is Summer, and this is Cozy Reading with Quaker Cats. And I want to talk about The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann. And there's a read along going on with this, and I'll link Matthew's channel at Mayberry Bookclub. He's the one who's um, hosting it, I guess you would call it. Anyway, I want to talk about pages, we'll say 78 to 180. Because I stopped at the end of chapter 4. Okay, so Sylvie is distracting me. She's behind the laptop, and I'm just curious to what's she gonna do. She's just gonna settle in, so that's pretty nice. Okay, I'll be all over the place. Sorry, that's just how my brain works. I want to talk about a character named Herr Albin. Guessing it's Albin. And I just really enjoyed how he was introduced into the story. And now, I mean, there's still so much to read, but he's only been mentioned since his introduction here and there. But yeah, I guess he's been up there for like 3 years, and he's kind of had a moment of insanity where he got a gun and just went crazy. But you have to feel for people. I just couldn't imagine it. Anyway, let's see. There's so many things I want to talk about. Number 1, okay, I've only read to page 180, but I keep getting this feeling that, have you ever watched the movie Miss Evers' Boys? It's based on a true story of where I think it was a 40-year experiment that they did. And they took a group of black men and they said they were treating them and they weren't. And so these men ended up dying these long, sad, horrible deaths, while all these other men in the world are being treated for syphilis and getting well, getting better. But they told them that if they went and took that other treatment, it would like counteract, it would counter-react. And so it would kill them if they went and took this, which is not true, of course. That would have cured them. And this is based on a true story, Miss Evers' Boys. If you haven't watched the movie, it's great. I think it was the early 90s. Anyway, I just keep getting that feeling that something's just not right. I have a very suspicious mind, and I don't trust doctors to begin with, even though doctors can be wonderful, but they can also be horrible. Yeah, so I just keep getting this bad feeling about it, is because now, like I said, I stopped at the end of chapter 4. Hans just found out he's sick. And I wasn't surprised at all about that. Also, isn't tuberculosis contagious? Because when I was 15 and I started working, I got a worker's permit and I started working at a nursing home, I remember them doing a TB test on me. And so if I had it, I wouldn't have been able to work there. So I always assumed tuberculosis was contagious. And maybe there's different types. Maybe it's like hepatitis or something where they have different kinds. I don't know. But so it didn't surprise me that I got tuberculosis because I figured everybody up there would eventually have it. And also the doctors never look healthy. Like the guy running the place and the doctors, they seem like they're sickly. And so the reaction when Joachim, he is my all-time favorite character. And so when he goes and gets checked out and Hans goes with him, the doctor's reaction to that, when he asks when they think he would be able to go home, they were like, well, don't you like it here? Aren't you satisfied? And it's like, Really? You don't think they would rather be home? I don't care how nice the place is. No place is like home. I don't know. It just made me very suspicious. And for a while now, I've been having this feeling like something's not right up here. And it could just be in my mind. I don't know. But anyway, I really liked how they introduced Hair Albin, that character. Also, love is in the air. Joachim seems to be really attracted to this Marusha, who is described as being lovely, you know. So it's not surprising. These are young people. Of course, they're going to be attracted to each other and things happen. We hear about the Russian couple, and it would be strange if that wasn't happening. I mean, they would have to be like deathly ill, I think, to not have attraction and want to kind of get to know each other a little better. Anyway, so Hans, who is always a little crazy to me, I think he's just a little uh, controlling and stuff. But anyway, the person who's been slamming the door or letting the door fall shut has been this woman who is Russian, and I'm going to call her Claudia. It's like a V instead of a U, so I'm sure that's a different pronunciation, but I don't know what it is. And when I read her name, I say Claudia. Anyway, so cat hair. And they should be around. There's May. Okay, so anyway, there's this woman who she's married, she's Russian. She sits at the good Russian table, which is interesting that there's a good Russian and a bad Russian. But the history between Germany and Russia seems like there's always been a conflict in history. Anyway, this woman makes him think of this boy when he was 13. And I'm guessing how he describes him, that he thought he was like beautiful, and he was, when you're 13, you're getting into puberty and having all these feelings, and I don't know, I really enjoyed it because it made me think nothing is simple. What attracts us to somebody, our feelings for somebody, those things aren't easy to it's not all cut and dry. It's a very gray area. Anyway, it's a sweet story about him and this boy who they don't really have much interaction. Like, he borrows a pencil and then keeps the shavings because he wants to give the pencil back he sharpens it. He wants to like to present it back. Like, look, I took great care of your pencil. Thank you for letting me borrow it. And that's pretty much all the interaction that they had. But from then on, or maybe it was even before that interaction, he watches him. That boy is like a magnet to him. So this woman, Claudia, he feels the same way. She has a certain look that is like the boy. Her eyes are shaped like the boy's eyes. And anyway, they're playing these little games of, watching each other, and he tries to wait for her to like make an accidental meeting, or he's all those little things that people do. Sevens are coming up again. That concert, they said that they play for about 7 minutes. When she's kind of like flirting or whatever they're doing, he said the second time, the third, fourth, and then he said on the sixth occasion, and then he doesn't say the seventh occasion, but it is the seventh occasion where she like drops her napkin and he wants to jump out of his chair and go and pick it up for her. Anyway, yeah, so that's the seventh occasion. And I'm thinking, seven again. And there's been a lot of sevens, a lot of sevens. Um, but yeah, it's also, I really like Sedembrini. I know that he always is, seems like Hans is always having issue. Hans has to be like my least favorite character, though. I way prefer, well, Joachim is like my favorite, and I am very character driven, and I really like Sedembrini too, because I think Sedembrini is teaching Hans a lot, even though Hans seems to be struggling sometimes with keeping his patience with Sedembrini. I like that about the grandfathers. Sedembrini was telling him a story about, I want to say, like Giuseppe was his grandfather, and he said he wore black until the day that he died. And that really struck Hans because his grandfather was the same way. His grandfather wore black, but they wore black for different reasons. Uh, um, Giuseppe was more of a rebel, radical, I felt like, and Hans' grandfather wore it to be more traditional. But they both wore black till the day that they died, and I thought that was interesting. Also, I think it's funny because even though Hans wants to disagree with Sedembrini all the time, he agrees with him about a lot of things. And he is always talking or thinking about Sedembrini. Um, there was a nurse when he went to go, when he took this walk because he felt like everything was getting to him. I actually actually underlined that part. But everything was getting to him. Watch me not be able to find it. Everything's marked in this book all over the place. But he decided to go out for a walk, and he couldn't. He walked too far, and this is right before he got sick. No, I think he was a little sick already, and but this is before he was diagnosed that he is actually ill. Um, no, that's something totally different. Okay, here it is. Yeah, his overheated head because his face is always flushed and hot. There's the bad taste in his mouth, the fitful throbbing in his heart, the Russian pair next door, Frostor, which they were really, that was interesting too about how they kept tormenting each other about Claudia, just because he wanted to talk about her so bad and she could tell that he was interested. So the gentleman rider's pulpy cough daily heard in the corridor. The utterances of Herr Alvin. He's the one who went crazy with the gun, and the impression he received of the manners and morals of the ailing young folks about him. The expression on Joachim's face when he looked at Marusha. These and 100 observations more made him feel it would be good to escape. So yeah, he went on this walk and he couldn't make it. And that actually, in that walk, he goes and he ends up laying on a bench and kind of, it takes him back to, because he kept wondering, like, why am I attracted to this woman? What is it about this woman that seems so familiar? The Claudia woman. And then he thinks back and he remembers that boy that he was attracted to in that sense. Which, I mean, I wish in a way it would be all cut and dry, like, oh, because when he first was talking about that boy, I thought, oh, okay, well, then I can fit him in this little box, and it makes sense that no romantic encounters have really been talked about because I think he's just like 23 years old. And yeah. So, and then I thought, no, because he seems to be attracted to this woman. So it's never easy. It's never easy how people feel. But yeah, I totally lost where I was. But yeah, I'm curious to why it seemed like that kind of bothered him about Joachim being. It seemed to me that it bothered Joachim about, or Hans, that Joachim liked that Marusha woman. But also, I wanted to look up Sedembrini. It says, and of how he laughed at the same advice and quoted something out of the magic flute. And I underline that because I want to go look up the magic flute. I played the flute in school, but that was forever ago, and I wasn't very good to begin with. Um, yeah, talking about that froth store, her and him going back and forth with their silliness. And yeah, I talked about that where he connected the grandfathers and how they both wore black. And here I say, I prefer Sedembrini to Hans. And that's talking about his Sedembrini's grandfather, Giuseppe. Oh, one thing that I find very interesting. They just now are talking about price because from the very beginning I was like, what kind of people can come up here? This has to be so expensive. I mean, they feed you 5 meals. You get a second breakfast like a little hobbit. But yeah, I'm like, what kind of place is this where they have medical treatment? You're in this beautiful scenery. They feed you, and apparently it's cheap. At least Hans thinks it's cheap, but Hans has money. Like he was raised with money, so for Hans it's cheap. But for me, when you hear about people spending all this time up there, I'm thinking, how could they afford it? It's not just them having enough beds. It would be like, how can these people afford this? And yeah, it just started to feel wrong. The place started to feel, it does. It feels wrong to me. Like something's not quite right. Also, the doctors would not admit that people get colds up there, which was something else that I don't know. It bothered me. And he described, okay, so Sedembrini was complaining about this nurse. And it's funny because then he had to be like, okay, Sedembrini was right about this nurse. But the description of her is horrible. It said she had her eyes were a watery blue, and there was a sty in the corner of one of them with inflamed lids. And it says her nose was turned up, her mouth like a frog's, and furnished to boot with a wry and protruding lower lip, which she used like a shovel to get her words out. Like, whoa. It said something else about he used shovel her words. But apparently they do not like her. With that description. Oh, also the thermometers. Guess how long they have to keep the thermometers underneath their tongue? 7 minutes. 777. His room is 34, which, 3 plus 4 is 7. It's a lot of sevens. Oh, and when he's looking for her, okay, so he's trying. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just all over the place. So when Hans is becoming infatuated with Claudia, he will wait outside in like the corridor and there's a room that he will go into or wait for her to come out of, and it's room or stairwell or something like that. It's 7. So it's like, oh, that door 7. I can't remember what it's to. So I was like, there's another 7. Yeah, and here's where I'm saying I don't trust the doctors. I don't. And that's pretty much where I'm at. There's a ton of stuff that happens. I can't talk about everything. But yeah, we are just now. Another thing I thought was funny. It seemed like as soon as he started enjoying his cigars again, he got that cold. And so, yeah, I'm just not sure. And I don't know anything about this, but I just don't feel like that would be a good cure for someone who has lung issues. Because if I have a cold and I go outside and it's cold, it's like it hurts. So, yeah, I'm not sure if I trust all this. And a lot of things are experimental when it comes to medical practices. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm really enjoying it. I'm getting ready to start chapter 5, which is called Soup Everlasting. And he's sick, so apparently he's going to be eating some soup. I'm really enjoying it. It's taking me a long time. This has been another slow reading month. Slow reading week for me. So hopefully I can get into it and make a dent in it for next week. So, but yeah, I'm worried about Hans. I'm worried about everybody up there because I just don't know if it's really a safe place. But that's just my suspicious mind, I guess. Anyway, The Magic Mountain. I got to page 180 by Thomas Mann. If you guys are reading this, let me know. Let me know how you're enjoying. I'm really enjoying it. So it's an interesting story, and nothing is clear. Nothing is simple about it. The writing is wonderful. His descriptions, they go back and forth. Sometimes he'll talk about something and he won't describe it at all, but you can tell when he feels passionately about something like that, how much he disliked that nurse and her description. So, anyway, I am really enjoying it. I hope everybody has a great night. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.